Hello ladies and gentlemen, tubers and groovers, and welcome to the edition of Take the Fear Out the Gear with me, Jason Bangers.
And me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
And it brings you this lovely combination of stuff if you've got an iPad. Like we said last time, we were talking about iPads. This is something you probably didn't even know existed, because I didn't. So Simon, what have we got here?
It's a Roland JX8P analog synthesizer. From about 1985 they started producing these, and they've been used on lots of different things.
Oh yeah, many a song.
You probably hear like the Terminator theme and that. It's fantastic when it's played on this. Sounds amazing.
Only thing with these keyboards is they're very limited as to what you can do on the fly, because all the patches are all sort of built in and whatnot, and if you was on stage and you want to change something, it's quite hard to do in it, you know, to change the menus within sound settings. Filters, for example.
Exactly. You can't really change the filter on the fly. You'd have to look on this. There's like a little on here. There's a table, and it tells you like the filters are in bank number 5, and you got to go to 51 to. And then you got to press. And
it's not backlit, as you can see. There's a light here on this screen. But yeah, a bit of a nightmare. However, Mr. Chumley Warner has found out something rather special, which is ode to joy to the iPad, is all I can say.
Well, it just makes your old synthesizers more usable and more programmable.
Yeah, damn straight.
And whilst I say on the buzzword programmable, if you wanted an actual Roland programmer, which is like a sort of a box like this that plugs in the back, a hardware box, they'll cost you around £500, which is probably more than you'll pay for the actual keyboard.
Yeah.
Which is
it's just not feasible, is it?
No, it's too much money.
It's not economically viable. I think that's the word, isn't it?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So an easier way, there's a program on the iPad here. It's called the IPG800. You get it off the App Store. And the good thing about this is it does exactly the same as the Roland hardware programmer.
It's incredible. For example, I shall stand up. I'll move over here, so I play a note. And
let's find a nice sound that would go well with that. Probably that one.
Right. How cool is that? You might notice here it's got a chorus on. You got to let go of the note, I think, Si, for me to change that. Right, so chorus is off. Go on, Si. Take it off. Chorus on number 1. Off. Chorus on number 3.
No, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't even know it had a chorus. But this is a beautiful way of changing your sound on the fly. So if you were playing live, or if you want to make up a whole load of new sounds, you can get all your sliders, and it's just a brilliant way of doing it. Then you can store it in whatever bank you want to, and you've got a whole new set of sounds really easily done.
It's like you've had this keyboard, say, for the last 30 years, right? Or even longer. And then you get it out with your iPad, and instead of the one keyboard you've got that you've always loved and known about, you now got like another 6 keyboards, because you've got all this different stuff, so many different variations on a theme. Well, more than 6. I mean, look how many different varieties you've got of effects and things you can change. How much is the software for this?
I'd have to check, but I'm sure it was around £10 to £20, maybe just £10. It wasn't a lot of money for what it was.
You wouldn't even raise an eyebrow for that, would you? Can you use it on other keyboards?
Well, what I think we'll do now is we'll show you it working on a Roland rack unit, because it's a little bit more complicated to set up.
Oh, a rack unit, right.
What we should say we've got here, apart from the iPad, we've got the iPad, we've got the MIDI mobilizer, which we spoke about.
We kind of slated it a little bit for another job, for using it for MIDI, but for this it's brilliant. So it's not. We never actually slagged it, did we?
We were talking about
a different thing.
Yeah, we were talking about latency if you were using it.
Yeah.
You know, to play MIDI notes in, but because here all it's doing out is sending messages and bringing them in, there's no problem for doing that.
It's a brilliant bit of kit, so don't throw it away. If you watched our last video and thought, I don't need that thing anymore, keep it, because you can do this. So I think one of us should click a finger, Si, and magic the new gear up on the desk. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon so. PG-800.
So you're supposed to have magic dust back in there as well, mate.
Oh, just a second.
That was good. It was comfortable.
Awesome.
That was a good beam up, that was. So what we've got here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a module, and for those of you who don't know what a module is, it's basically a keyboard in a box, alright? But you need to trigger it via MIDI, so we're using this keyboard here. No sounds on this keyboard are being used whatsoever, it's just a controller for that. But sorry, one thing we never explained was how was the path set up for this with the iPad? We didn't explain what goes in and what goes out, or what does what. How is it actually...
Well, if we just do a quick recap, on the JX8P keyboard, on your little MIDI mobilizer, you've got MIDI in and out.
In and out, yeah.
In and out, and all that does is connect to MIDI in and out on the JX8P. So it's just a connection straight in the back, which is simple.
Where was it going to the MIDI socket then?
Yeah, it goes into the MIDI 5-pin DIN socket.
Right, okay.
On the back of the JX8P.
It's pretty straightforward. So this setup, is it pretty much the same, except we've got something else in line, I see?
We have, yes. Because I had to work this one out, because the problem with this one is, because the JX8P, obviously the keyboard's connected internally to the sounds in the JX8P, so you don't need anything else. You can just plug into the back of the MIDI sockets. For this one, what we're having to do, because the way this works is, we've got a MIDI out from the Behringer keyboard here, the Vocoder, plus we've also got a MIDI out from the programmer here, so we've got two MIDI outs, so that causes a problem because...
Which means you've got two MIDI inputs and there isn't two MIDI inputs, you've got
exactly right.
an in and a through and an out.
So what we've had to do, I'll just put this forward, this is called a MIDI merge box, and what this does, Tubes, it allows you to put two inputs, then it merges it into one output.
Ah, that's clever. That's clever.
Because, yeah, so you've got your two ins here, it comes out, the merged output comes out, and that will go into your MIDI input on the back of your rack module.
That is a real cool bit of kit. And what is that? That's a Yamaha MIDI merge box.
That's an ancient box, that one. I've had that for 20 years or more, but yeah. This is exactly what you need if you want to do this kind of thing.
Okay, let's talk turkey.
So, again, we're using the IPG800 program on the iPad.
Yeah. And
this time we've selected this synth, which is the MKS70.
The module.
And it comes up with the MKS70 programmer. So again...
Which means we can interfere with the sounds within.
Mm.
So, I guess the next thing to do is to play something. And... tweak it.
Yeah, do you want to open up the filter or...
Yeah.
Again, this one's got chorus on, which I didn't realise, like the JX8P. Though, saying that, Tubes, why does it sound similar to the JX8P? Because this has got two JX8Ps in it.
It's Roland, you see.
Yeah, this is like the super version of the JX8P. This is the programmer for the MKS70, the one we've got on the table here. If I press the information thing here, little button, see it comes up with that. Then I'm going to press that one, do that again. That's the programmer for the JX8P, which we showed you earlier, the keyboard.
Well, they look almost identical.
And then, if I do it with my left hand, press that again, you can go up to the D50, which will show you one of those.
Oh yeah, that's looking cool,
That's
man.
nice, and that's the D50 programmer. You can see all the...
Christ, you got everything on there, man.
Yeah. You can imagine trying to go into the D50 little menu screen trying to adjust these things.
Good grief. There's loads on there. Man, you're going to get sounds out your D50 you didn't even know existed.
And then this one...
Look at this, Tubes.
I think this one's for the MKS50, or the Juno, the Roland Juno, which we can show you one of those. And then we'll show you another one.
This is basically like having a human body ripped right down the middle so you can get to the heart, the lungs, the spleen. It's just a window into your keyboard. Look at this.
This, as I say, this one is for the JX3P Roland keyboard, but it won't work with your bog standard Roland JX3P. You've got to, as
That's
I said,
why you got a chip. Yeah.
You've got to put a modified chip in. It basically updates the MIDI, because the MIDI on the Roland JX3P is so basic.
So if you know
it won't work.
If you know an electrical geek, get him to do it, but don't try it yourselves, guys, because you'll end up knackering your keyboard up.
Yeah, I did look into it, and it looked a bit
complicated.
Yeah, so I thought I'll just leave it.
Cool.
But there you go, that's what it is.
Cool.
And then if I escape, there's your, you go to here, it's called the IPG800, so if I press that, and then it just goes back into whatever programmer you want.
Man, I do like a lot of kinky stuff, and that was a lot of kinky stuff.
Did you like the D50 program?
Oh, I can't. Well, we've got to get a D50 and try it. I know you've got one, so...
We'll bring one and show you, because it's got to be worth having a look, isn't it?
That'll be another video for all you D50 fans.
And just one more thing. As
Columbo would say.
Just one more thing we didn't tell you earlier. As this is like 2 JX8Ps, there's a MIDI channel for each module, if you imagine left and right. So before you put your programmer in, there's 3 things you need to do. For the first module, you need to set your MIDI channel to 1, which is what this is set for. Your second part of the module is set to MIDI channel 1. And then, to make all the magic work, there's a setting on here where it says System Exclusive Turn On. This is all in the MIDI section. There's a button here somewhere that says MIDI. Do those 3 things, connect your programmer, wham.
I know what you're thinking. I must admit, the MIDI stuff has never sunk in with me. Never. I've always found MIDI channels and had to be confusing. It's quite simple though. There's 21 MIDI channels, is that right?
16.
I knew it was an odd number.
Should I test you again?
Go for it, go on.
What does MIDI stand for?
Oh, I can't remember now. I did know, but I've forgotten it.
It's Musical Instrument Digital Interface.
That's right.
Here's another geeky fact. They're bringing out MIDI 2 soon.
Really?
Yeah.
After all these years?
Yeah.
MIDI 2.
I think they might have, I can't even speak anymore, implemented it on some newer keyboards.
But haven't we already got MIDI 2? It's called USB.
Exactly right.
Is that what you was going to say?
No, it wasn't.
Well, it's USB, isn't it? I mean, this is all like MIDI on this is USB now. It's all MIDI is... Well, it has got your 5-pin DIN MIDI leads in there, but you can also MIDI via USB in your keyboard, in your laptops and that, you know.
But they've always been updating it slowly.
Yeah.
Like this one, this MKS70 is newer than the JX8P, so it's got lots more MIDI functions on it.
That was a small bottle, Justin, but I appreciate it all the same. Very nice.
You got another one in the fridge?
No, I haven't got another one. Just in case you really want to know what it is. Right, Tubes, it's nice, very nice. Gin is the drink of this particular decade.
It's very popular at the moment.
It's very popular. I can understand why. So that is a use for your iPad, for you keyboard players out there, that you might not have even realised was available, because I didn't until the other day when Simon brought it around here and said, look what you can do with this. I'm blown away.
I think the main thing is you have a keyboard or module like this with all the preset sounds in. It just gives you a window, an easy window to make your own sounds.
How long has that been out in the market?
I think it's been out for a while.
Well, we're talking years?
I probably got that app, I don't know, about a year ago. But again, I tried it with the JX8P, but I hadn't tried it with this, because again, I had to find the MIDI merge box to get it all working.
Yeah. Well, Tubes, listen, we're going on plenty about this, and all you got to do if you don't understand anything is rewind and have another little listen, rewind, have a little listen. If you don't understand any of it and you need to ask us questions, we promise to get back to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ask questions at the bottom there.
And we will have another little Behringer video coming up soon, because someone has asked. So,
yeah, someone's asked for a specific Behringer appliance, which Simon has in his purchase. I'll tell you what, Tubes, from this episode of Take the Fear Out of the Gear, it's goodbye from him, Mr. Chumley Warner.
And it's goodbye from him, Mr. Jason Bangers.
We'll see you next week, guys. All the best. Take care.
Take care.